My name is Andrew Siegel. I'm a physician based in the New York metropolitan area, and today I would like to continue with my series that I call Rail and Wail, a crusade against lifestyle misconduct. And today I would like to address the subject of partially hydrogenated vegetable oils, also known as killer fats. And the image on the top right of this introductory slide shows a classic partially hydrogenated vegetable oil, which is margarine, which is solid at room temperature. I would like to do a brief overview of fats. Fats essentially are chains of components known as fatty acids. Oils are simply liquid fats. Triglycerids are fats that are circulating in the blood and stored in the fat cells in our bodies. Fat can be either animal or plant-based. Certain vegetables are very high in fats, classically avocados. Fats serve a very important purpose. They cushion our internal organs. For example, our kidneys are surrounded in a generous fatty envelope that protects it. Fat causes insulation of our bodies, helps keep us warm in the winter. That's why thin people tend to need more sweaters in the winter than people who are carrying more pounds. Fat is a means of storage of energy and fat-soluble vitamins. When we run out of stored energy in the form of glycogen in a prolonged endurance event, we then rely on our fats. Fats also are an important component of our cell membranes and our structural integrity of the brain. Saturation of oils and fats. Saturation refers to the degree or extent that carbon atoms in oils and fats are occupied by hydrogen. So saturated fats have all available carbon bonds occupied by hydrogen. And these are solid or semi-solid at room temperature, and examples of this are animal fat, which is the fat in a steak, butter, and tropical oils. Monounsaturated fats, on the other hand, have a double bond, one double bond between the carbon atoms, and are typified by peanuts, cashews, walnuts, pistachios, macadamia nuts, also canola oil, olive oil, and avocados. Polyunsaturated fat, on the other hand, has two or more double bonds between the carbon atoms, and therefore much less hydrogen saturation. Examples of polyunsaturated fats are safflower oil, sunflower oil, sesame oil, corn oil, flaxseed oil, soybean oil, and fish oils, salmon, for example. This next chart depicts a comparison of dietary fats, and I don't want to belabor this, but for example, the second from the top, butter, consists of a lot of saturated fats. The very top, coconut oil, an extreme amount of saturated fats, as compared to, for example, sunflower or safflower oil, which has very low amounts of saturated fats. As far as the monounsaturated fats, peanut oil, olive oil have very significant amounts of monounsaturated fats, which are the healthier fats than the saturated fats. A few words on tropical oils. Palm kernel, and coconuts provide tropical oils. These oils are very unhealthy. They're more similar to beef tallow than vegetable oil, and they're actually more saturated than pig fat. And therefore, these tropical oils are also known as axle grease, tree lard, cow fat disguised as vegetable oil. They are simply too saturated for your good health, and they are better used in sunblock and skin moisturizing lotions than as additives to your food. Processing, the procession in which a food starts out in the farmer's hand and ends up in your hands and in your mouth. Between the farmer and you and I are the processor, the distributor, and the retailer. So these images show the process. The farmer in the soybean field, the good-looking, healthy soybeans, the processing plant, distribution, and ultimately what appears in the metal basin, which is vegetable shortening. So I'd like to discuss the process of hydrogenation of vegetable oils. Basically, this is a process in which a relatively healthy oil, that is a natural unsaturated fat, is pumped up with hydrogen to create a partially hydrogenated vegetable oil. The double bond is eliminated, making the oil more saturated. The liquid oil is turned into a solid at room temperature, but melts upon baking, and it includes products such as margarine and vegetable shortening. Why does the big food industry like partially hydrogenated vegetable oils? Well, it has superior baking properties and prolonged shelf life, since it's less prone to turning rancid, and the refrigeration requirements are less. As a byproduct of this whole process, trans fats are created. The image depicts the processing in which unsaturated oils are heated with catalysts in the presence of pressurized hydrogen gas. Next slide shows the hydrogenation. Healthy soybeans converted to soybean oil, converted to shortening. Few words on trans fats. Not to belabor the fine points of chemistry here, but basically cis and trans refer to the arrangement of chains of carbon atoms across the double bond. All you really need to know is that in the trans format, the chains of carbon atoms are on the opposite side of the double bond, resulting in a straight chain. And why are trans fats bad? Well, because of the different configuration, the trans fats pack more tightly, forming a solid that's much more difficult to break apart with a much higher melting point, and it's solid at human body temperatures. So it ends up increasing our risk of cardiac disease, increased bad cholesterol, LDL, decreased good cholesterol, HDL. The enzyme lipase, which normally breaks down fats, can break down the cis variety and not the trans variety. So trans fats are prone to arterial deposition and arterial plaque formation. This next slide on the left shows a normal artery on the top and atherosclerotic plaque on the bottom portion. Top right, good healthy fruits and vegetables. Bottom right, it's partially hydrogenated vegetable oil. It's a glop of margarine. Interesting how much that glop of margarine resembles the glop of plaque that narrows our arteries. In my opinion, partially hydrogenated vegetable oils should be thought of as toxic as tobacco, and the Surgeon General ought to put a warning label on products that contain partially hydrogenated vegetable oils indicative that this product is toxic and hazardous to your health.